So to begin with role-based access control, the very first thing that you would need in your product is authentication. So basically, you need to authenticate whom the user is claiming whom he is or she is, right? So that is authentication. Now, kinds of authentication that you can have in your system are most common one, username, password-based authentication. So the user provides a username, password, and then logs in. You could also go in for a multi-factor authentication. So it will be a 2 or 3 level of authentication. Some systems also demand finger protection, or it could even need sign detection and things and so on to further authenticate the user other than just the username, password. And you could also go in for a claim-based authentication, which is again a very normal or standard-based authentication. Like you could use SAML, which is the usual standard for claims. So one of these could be your way of authenticating the user. Now, where can the user identification information reside in a web environment? Especially, it could either be stored as a cookie or it could be in a session. So these are pretty much most likely used mechanism to store the end user information. And most of the technologies right now make it very simple. They already have a mechanism to handle sessions and cookie and so on. It's quite simple when you use technologies like .NET or Java and Ruby on Rails, which automatically provide these. Now, what's an identity store? Identity store has information on the authentication details. So either you could have your custom store, in which case you're responsible for maintaining the authentication information, could be your username, password, security questions, and so on. If you're having your own custom store, things that you need to take care of is properly securing your passwords, right? The passwords should automatically be encrypted and hashed and stored because it's a very sensitive data. You should definitely look at it. In addition to that, you should have policies for password reset, right? These are again additional security mechanisms that you have to take so that passwords are not easily cracked. So if you have your own custom store, if you are maintaining the username and password of your customers in your database or data store, you're supposed to follow these two. Now, if the other common mode of authentication or identity store is Active Directory, right? So if you're building an enterprise application, especially 90% of the time you would integrate with your LDAP or Active Directory in the enterprise or organization. So Active Directory again is a form of identity store. In addition to these two, Identity Federation also is a way of providing you the identity information. So what's Identity Federation? It's a mechanism wherein you federate between multiple identity stores to get the authentication information and or to validate the authentication information, right? So we'll just very quickly look at the scenario here. So you could be on organization 1 and people from organization 2 could be using your system, right? Organization 2 could be your customer users who are going to access your system. In this case, you do not want to manage and maintain the authentication information of your customers' users. So what you can do is you could trust your federation server, and the federation server can internally talk to your customers' identity stores and then automatically authenticate the information that is passed. So this allows you to very easily handle things like single sign-on. So federation also quite easily detaches your headache of handling all these different identity stores when it comes for different customers. So you could just pick a federation server and authenticate using a federated identity that would allow you to talk to multiple identity stores seamlessly. So you also have federation servers available from a lot of vendors, like you have ADFS, which is directly available with Windows. You have Azure Access Control Services available from Azure and Microsoft, and so on. So you have a lot of single sign-on servers that you could directly install and use for your federation services. So these are the kinds of authentications you could do for your application, and the stores or place where you could manage your authentication information. So once you authenticate, the next thing that you'll have to take care in your product or application is authorization, right? So authorization, as we discussed, is the ability to provide access only for the actions that a user is supposed to do and restrict access to the rest of the people, right? So what does it take to build an authorization? Usually people go in for a role-based authorization. So they say if it is admin, then give access to so-and-so menu, give access to so-and-so links, and so on. So what happens is, the roles in an organization, or roles, especially when you're talking about a multi-tenant scenario where multiple customers are accessing your application, are totally different. So the roles could, what you have as roles today could be totally different tomorrow, and you keep adding your own roles. Each customers would want to bring in their own roles. So the moment you base your access control on the roles, it's subjected to a lot of change. So the best thing to do here is to go for granular privilege-based controls, which means you break your system into features, and then the features you could further break down into privileges. For example, if you are building a CRM and if you have a customer management page or a customer management action, you could break your privileges like add customer, edit customer, and so on, which is more granular in nature. And when you code against the privileges and not for the roles. To be precise, when you are adding a customer, you check for a privilege if the user has a add privilege permission, and not for the role, like if it is an admin, allow him to do that action. So what this allows you to do is, you write your code based on the privileges and then dynamically let the application add roles to it. You can maybe give a very simple administration form to for customers to come and add their own roles and map it to their privileges and map users to roles. So the moment you do that, once a user gets authenticated, the discovery of roles happen, right? For this particular user, what are the roles that he or she has, and once that is done, the privileges are automatically populated and the code works according to what privileges are available for that particular user. So this allows you to very easily manage multiple roles of a customer, and if on a long term you would be able to bring in any kind of granular control on your product.